candlelight flickers across a young king's face, barely old enough to grow a beard, yet already wearing a crown heavy with the weight of England itself. Outside the royal hall, the monks whisper his name with disapproval, nobles argue in low voices, and a kingdom quietly fractures. This is the story of King Edwy, called Eadwig. By his own people, a ruler remembered less for what he did than for what others said about him. A boy king caught between desire, power, and a church determined to control the soul of England. Edwy was born around the year 940 into the royal house of Wessex, the dominant dynasty of Anglo-Saxon England. He was the son of King Edwy I, a warrior king who had strengthened English control over the north, and the grandson of Edward the Elder, heir to Alfred the Great. This lineage alone placed Edwy at the center of a kingdom still defining itself. After generations of Viking invasions, uneasy truces, and fragile unity, when his father was killed in 946, Edwy was still a child, and the throne passed first to his uncle, King Edred. Only in 955, when Edred died without heirs, did the crown fall upon Edwy's young head. He was about 15 years old when he became king. From the beginning, Edwy's reign was shaped by tension between youth and authority, between royal independence and monastic reform, between personal choice and political expectation. The England he inherited was officially united, but in reality deeply divided. The south, centered on Wessex, was loyal to the traditional royal family. The north and Midlands, especially Mercia and Northumbria, were dominated by powerful nobles and strongly influenced by the Benedictine monastic reform movement. At the heart of that movement stood Dunstan, abbot of Glastonbury, later archbishop, a man whose vision of a disciplined, celibate, reform-minded church would clash violently with Edwy's idea of kingship. The most famous moment of Edwy's reign came on the very day of his coronation. According to later monastic writers, after the ceremony, Edwy withdrew from the feast to spend time with a noblewoman named Ælfgifu and her mother Ælfgifu. Dunstan and Bishop Sinisage allegedly dragged the young king back to the hall, publicly shaming him. This story, repeated for centuries, painted Edwy as reckless, lustful, and unfit to rule. Yet this account comes entirely from Edwy's enemies. What is certain is that Ælfgifu was a woman of high status, possibly Edwy's wife or intended bride, and that the church opposed the union, claiming the two were closely related by blood. Such objections were common tools of political control in an age when the church defined acceptable marriage. Edwy's refusal to submit marked him as a king unwilling to be ruled by monks. That defiance would cost him dearly. Within a few years, opposition to Edwy hardened into open political resistance. Dunstan was exiled, but his supporters remained powerful. In 957, leading nobles in Mercia and Northumbria renounced Edwy's authority and proclaimed his younger brother Edgar as king in those regions. England was split in two not by foreign invasion, but by internal disagreement over how the kingdom should be governed. Edwy remained king of Wessex, the southern heartland, while Edgar ruled the north with the full backing of the Reformist Church. This division was remarkably peaceful by medieval standards, suggesting that Edwy was not a tyrant, but a ruler constrained by circumstance and age. Charters from his reign show him acting as a traditional Anglo-Saxon king, granting land, confirming rights, and governing through established institutions. There is no evidence of cruelty, madness, or incompetence, only political isolation. In the south, Edwy continued to rule for 2 more years. He was still barely out of adolescence when his health failed. In October 959, at around 19 years old, King Edwy died. The cause of his death is unknown. No battlefield claimed him. No assassin's blade is recorded. He simply vanished from history as quietly as he had entered it. With Edwy gone, the kingdom was reunited under Edgar, who would later be remembered as Edgar the Peaceable. Guided by the very churchmen who had opposed his brother, Dunstan returned from exile, rose to the highest offices, and shaped the historical record. Under his influence, Edwy's reputation darkened while Edgar's shone. This is why Edwy is remembered as a failure. Yet when the layers of hostile storytelling are stripped away, another image emerges. A teenage king trying to assert royal authority in a world where the church was becoming a political superpower. A ruler who challenged monastic control over marriage and kingship. A young man whose greatest crime may have been choosing independence too early, without the strength or allies to defend it. Edwy left no great victories, no sweeping reforms, no legendary laws. But his reign reveals a turning point in English history, the moment when kings began to lose moral authority to churchmen. when personal life became political weaponry, and when history itself became a battlefield written by the winners. In the silence after his death, England moved on, but the shadow of King Edwy remains, a reminder that history does not always preserve truth, only power.